Welcome, everybody, to the LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. I am Rob Eberzino. This is Laurie Lipsey. I think her maiden voyage on the podcast, I think. I don't
First time you've invited me here during the show, Rob.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have Chris Chiafullo, our attorney, our industry attorney, our friend, and that's what we're going to talk about. So
long time.
I'm going to kind of steer this a little bit, but really,
I'll take it from here, Rob.
Yeah,
Thank you for that kind introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes.
So I have known Chris Chiafullo for many, many years, and we were sitting here. I thought it was maybe about 20 years. It's been about 25 years, and Chris has really played a significant part in the lives of distributors as well as other people in the industry, really during some of our most challenging times over the years. And so he has really played such a good hand in what we have been doing in the distribution business, and he does an awful lot with the retailers, and I'm going to let him get into that in just a minute. But especially during the 90s, I guess, the late 90s when there were all these frivolous lawsuits out there.
Yep.
And the distribution channel really needed some good representation to protect us from these frivolous lawsuits. And so Chris, stepped in and successfully got us through what I thought were some dark times in the industry when so many things were happening at once. But since then, he's really come such a long way with the FFLGuard and everything else that he does, and really has become an expert in a lot of things. And once again, I'm going to let you kind of talk about what your expertise is now and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the industry as a whole. But what are you doing to also to help our retailers?
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. There's a lot that's thrown at them, and they can't all afford to have representation all the time. And so I think our retailers would like to hear from you as well.
So interestingly enough, we just figured out before we went live, right, that we met in 99. That was during the Hamilton cases in
I
New York.
remember it well.
Okay. So I was a 13-year-old lawyer then. It was unbelievable, right? No, I was a baby lawyer. I was a young guy just out of law school. And my boss was in charge of all the distributors, which included LIPSEY'S.
Mm-hmm.
But the other, superstars of the distribution chain, we had Bob Steger, right? Brian Tucker from Davidson, Bob's from RSR, Bill Frame from AccuSport, Hewitt from Ellett Brothers, like all these monster names in the distributor world. And it was there that I got the idea sort of for FFLGuard, and I'll tell you why. My boss and I represented a bunch of distributors, 21 of them, fractionally. So everyone paid 1/20% 1/20th of the bill.
Right.
And we fought these lawsuits where it's what the PLCAA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, now protects FFLs from. But at the time it was, the city of New York says you sell guns, so you're bad.
Right.
We're putting you out of business. And that's basically what it was.
Right.
We won those cases. It took a long time. Spent a lot of time in Brooklyn. Went to a lot of good places to eat.
Oh, we did. We had pizza on Staten Island one night, remember?
That's right. I took you
and
to
your
Danino's.
wife. We had fun.
Yes. Lauren and I took you to Danino's.
Oh, those were the days.
But they gave me the great idea, which was, look, distributors have deeper pockets than retailers. And what happens is a retailer ends up in a problem usually with ATF.
Right.
It's not usually a civil suit like it was with the distributors.
Right.
Usually a retailer will end up in a problem with ATF. So I created this whole company, this whole organization called FFLGuard. You can find us at www.fflguard.com. And we represent at a flat fee retailers and keep them compliant so they stay out of trouble with ATF.
Right.
And if they do get into trouble with ATF, they're part of a club, we'll say.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay me normally like you'd pay a lawyer by the hour.
Right.
You've already paid your flat fee for the year.
Right.
You've listened to what I had to say. You let me train you. You let me, try and help you.
Yeah.
And if you do get into trouble, don't worry, we'll be there for you. So it gives the smaller guy the same, high power representation that a distributor or even manufacturer would have. And we have different market segments.
Certainly levels the playing field, for a smaller retailer.
It does, and it also gives us great power because the ATF is spread, it's a nationwide organization, but there are 26 different field offices. And some don't know what the others do.
Right.
Well, I know what the others do because I have clients in every single state.
Right.
And that helps when you're defending a client in Boston, let's say, and you could turn around and say, well, that's not how they do it in LA.
Right.
Or you're in Miami and say, well, that's not how they do it in Seattle.
Right.
And we have a presence at headquarters. We have a relationship there. And it's been a real growth experience, I'd say, over 25 years, from baby lawyer carrying David Gross's bag and
yes.
woodshedding you for depositions, right? Getting you ready for
I
depositions.
quite remember sitting, across that conference room table at the very end, helping represent the industry in this huge case, and having 85 TV cameras looking at me, and the Brady Center was on the phone with all of their attorneys, and all eyes were on me.
Yeah.
I had great representation, had great attorneys helping me get through that, but we seemed to get through that pretty well thanks to your help. So Chris, tell me though, do you think our retailers today, and like what I mean today, I mean literally today, are they as targeted as they have been in the past? Because you go through stages and they learn what to look out for in terms of just, again, we assume our retailers are doing everything by the book.
Right.
The don't lie for the other guy, through
Right.
the NSSF,
Right.
no straw purchases. That's so important. What are those things that the retailers should be looking out for? And the second part of the question, do you think in this administration they're being targeted more than usual?
There's no question they're being targeted.
Wow.
The sole purpose, I feel, of this administration is to slow guns coming into the stream of commerce anyway, anyhow. And one of them has been to really ramp up what they call a zero tolerance policy. And so what happens is you can get roped into a revocation hearing, which is where you have an inspection, you have violations, and in the past those violations wouldn't have risen to the level of, hey,
Right.
we're going to revoke you. It would have risen to the level of, here's a warning letter, or come on in for a warning conference, we want to sit down and talk to you. Now there are 5 triggers to get you into a revocation hearing right away. And I said this yesterday at the seminar, so I spoke yesterday for NSSF at a seminar at SHOT Show University.
Yeah.
And I said, for the first 22 years of my career, if I did one revocation hearing a year, it was a lot.
Wow.
I've done somewhere in the range of 30 in the last 18 months.
Wow.
So if
Where are the retailers getting, the rule following retailers getting snared? What are they getting tagged?
NICS checks.
NICS checks. Okay.
Yeah, it's failure to run NICS checks, or doing, and a lot of times it's the failure to run might be you fail to write down the Brady number that comes through.
Right.
So they're not that they're not running them, they're not completing the process, not doing it 100%.
Yeah, the one that really gets people is when you do a NICS check for somebody, it's legit, but they don't come back for over 30 days to pick up their firearm. Well, you have to redo a NICS check after 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people forget to do that second NICS check.
Right.
But there are, other circumstances where someone will give you an exception to NICS is when you have a concealed carry for your state.
Right. Right.
So some people don't realize they can't take out of state concealed carries as an exception to NICS. Some people don't realize that the concealed carry they looked at was expired. You know, so there's a lot of these little ticky-tacky bullshitty things that you think would just float through.
Right.
Which in the past may have merited some sort of slap on the wrist or warning, like, hey, don't do that again.
Right.
But now you're in a revocation hearing, okay? This is a costly event.
Yeah.
This is a time-consuming event, and probably most obvious to me, they lose sleep. We're taking your license, man.
Yeah.
There's no, hey, we're gonna, like OSHA, I'm not gonna give you an OSHA fine because your ladders aren't right.
Right.
It's either you have your license or you do not have your license.
Yeah.
So you get a whole world of people that can't sleep, and that's why FFLGuard has become as popular as it has.
Yeah.
Because we're prepping you. We're prepping. I'm doing that wood shedding I did for you.
Good. That's some
before
good
they
prep.
need it.
Right.
And if it does come around, well, hell, you ain't gonna go in the pocket anymore because you got me already on the team.
Right.
And this is all we do. So if we can't do this right, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it makes people feel. It's peace of mind. It makes them feel better.
Yeah.
So you're traveling. You're
Oh
traveling
my God.
all the time. Always on the road visiting the retailers.
Traveling all the time, going through a lot of suits. So we got to talk the Haskell game a little bit.
Suits. I mean, he's not talking lawsuits.
Oh,
he's talking,
yeah, that's what I
He's
thought.
talking. I can speak that language.
He's like, a lot of suits. We got to talk to you, and I'm like, whoa.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can talk Haskell suits.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I should be sponsored by Haskell.
You can be. This is not difficult.
Okay.
We're doing the Sphere for the Super Bowl, so that's our budget's over there right now, right? So,
it will be. I know. It starts up next week.
So maybe
That's
after
hot.
that. Yeah, we'll see.
That is hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
But yeah, I'm flying all over the place. I was in Kansas City last week. It was -5 degrees. I was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm in Vegas this week. I'm in Houston next week. I'm in Phoenix the week after that. I went into my own business.
You're like boots on the ground. I mean, you have to. I'm sure you have people.
I have people.
Right. Also traveling.
I'm an Italian from New Jersey.
Right.
I have people.
Yeah. Also traveling, I assume too. I mean, because that's a lot. You can't possibly get around to every corner of the country, every week. But
well, what happens is the expectation becomes, well, Chris, I hired you.
Yeah.
And you're the best.
Right,
so
right,
I don't want your number 2
That's
guy.
what I say.
right. Yeah, I understand.
I want you.
Yeah.
And my MO the whole time has been the little guy is just the same as the big guy. We're all paying the same. It's all for one for all.
Right,
So
right.
I don't look at Mom and Pop, Linton from North Dakota any different than I do Laurie Lipsey.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
are all the same to me. So I like to get out there and do it. I will tell you that I got into my own business, and thankfully it's been prosperous. To be at home with my children and see them grow up and play football and do fun, because my dad and mom never got to see me do that stuff. They're busy working.
Right.
And lately it's been a lot more of, well, mom's in charge this week.
Yeah.
Dad's on the road.
Yeah.
So but it is what it is.
Yeah. Man, that's fantastic. I mean, it's a practically an invaluable service today, especially with being. I didn't realize that. You mentioned it yesterday, the targeting. I mean, really.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's as worse as I've ever seen.
I'm not. I'm usually with Jason shooting guns and talking about stuff like that. I don't get involved in the law side of our business at all. And I hear things, but when I hear it firsthand, it's really surprising that this is happening.
Yeah, I didn't mean to step on you, but the Biden administration makes Obama and Clinton look like cream puffs.
Well, I mean, for what could be a simple clerical error to drag someone into a hearing, and like you say, I'm sure it's costly, time consuming, scary. For a small shop. I mean, that's it's terrible.
And I think these days having that legal representation is as important as it's ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so than back as when it was in the late 90s. Having on the retailer side, not only to have representation by you and your company, but I also think it's really extremely important that the retailers as well as the distributors, of course, manufacturers, become members of NSSF.
Yeah.
It is extremely important to do that, and just for what the NSSF does and Larry Keene for what they do on the legal side,
right.
To become a member is absolutely worth its weight in gold. It truly is.
Yeah, they're a major asset to our industry. I mean, big time.
Larry was part of that, part of our 25-year club as well. That's where I met Larry and the Renzulis and every other lawyer name you can think of in the industry.
And y'all are all still around, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So FFLGuard.com is where, well, you can say it.
FFLGuard.com.
That's where you can find Chris and you can find his team there, and I think it's more than worth exploring. How does that? Okay, so I have a gun shop. Mm-hmm. I go online, or maybe I call you. What's the process? I mean, how does that work? Walk me through it real quick.
So you want to join us?
Yeah.
So there's different packages depending on how big you are.
Right.
So it's a sliding scale. You figure out how many dispositions a year you do.
Yeah.
You check the box, and then you are entitled to a suite of services that include me and my team. You get every single question and answer that everyone else is asked. You can look in our portal in the library. You can ask any question you want in our help desk. We respond.
Yeah.
We have weekly e-notifications. Here's what's going on. Here's what's current. We have monthly Zoom meetings or clients-only meetings. You can go on and click a time to talk to me anytime you want.
Yeah.
So, to put it into perspective, Rob, if I were wearing my lawyer hat, you'd retain me for $10,000 and pay me $600 an hour.
Right.
Or you could pay $3,000 a year and just use me anytime you want.
Right.
So the dollars and cents of it makes sense, but it's only because I want you to call me when you're not in trouble.
Right.
So I'm incentivizing you by saying the rate to have me and my entire team is incredibly low because I want to give you the cholesterol medication.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to do the open heart surgery.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So come in now and let me take your pulse and your blood pressure and all that and tell you what you need.
Right.
Don't call me when I have to crack your chest open.
I think a major benefit too has to be you're a step ahead. You know what's getting flagged. You know trends of, okay, this didn't used to be a problem or a thing, now it is. And most, most smaller retailers for sure, or maybe bigger retailers too, or us for that matter. Who knows? I mean, all scales. That's a huge benefit that you provide. I know you've got your ear to the ground with that stuff.
Yeah, another thing I said yesterday was, and I'll use you guys as an example. You know Lipsey's really well.
Sure.
You know what goes on in your four walls.
Of course.
Same as any retailer. They know their shop inside and out. Wouldn't it be nice to know what every other distributor or every other retailer is worried about, thinking about, asking questions to the regulator about?
Yeah.
So it's sort of an all-for-one, one-for-all mentality, and it's enlightening for a lot for
potential threats you're not aware of.
Correct.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right. Absolutely.
We do provide a very valuable service, and really for very, low-cost investment. I mean, it's quite valuable.
Yeah.
To your everyday business. I mean, who wouldn't want to protect that? And I can appreciate, again, what you do for the retailers as well as for the distribution level. And obviously there have been issues over the years, different reasons that we've called you for assistance, because we know what we do well, and we've got a great compliance director, but that doesn't always paint the whole picture.
Sure.
Shout out to Scott Duet.
Shout
out to Scott.
You're welcome, Scott.
My man. My man.
He's great. He's highly requested at the show. I mean, just his comic relief, if nothing else.
No,
but he's really
he's
competent.
A great guy.
Yeah, he's very, very competent. He's good at what he does. He definitely is. Well, FFLGuard.com.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we'll set this podcast up again, and we can have you call in or something. Maybe do a little regular, periodic, quarterly segment or something. On whatever. We can pick some topics just to help educate our dealers.
I would love to.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We could do that, and certainly we can eat at Il Cortile in New York next time.
Cortile,
I'm sorry,
yes.
yes.
On Mulberry Street.
Okay.
We'll go to Ferraris.
Next time I go, we'll go there.
Some cannolis, and we'll be fine.
I'll sit in, Will and I went there. It was fantastic. I sat in James Gandolfini's seat. It was the highlight of my life. And he loves it too. So he's a Italian New Yorker signed off on it.
I'll be waiting on my invitation.
Yeah. You're invited.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm glad we got her here.
Yeah, I know. This is great.
I hear this is an event.
We need more with you too. I'm kind of am a little ashamed that we haven't found a spot for you.
Ashamed. That's all right. I'm over it. Rob.
All right. Well, thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Rob.
And FFLGuard.com, and you know where to find us. All the socials at Lipsey's Guns. SHOT Show Day 3, Brandon, right? My camera guy, my faithful camera guy back there. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, aim higher.
Thank you.